The latest Occupy Wall Street evictions have begun in Dallas, forcing protesters from their camp near the City Hall. It's the latest in a nationwide wave of police raids targeting the movement against corporate greed. Well, most abandoned their tents peacefully, but about 50 stayed on, saying they were prepared to face arrest. As on earlier occasions, the raid came at night, with officers wearing riot gear and the media being told to stay away. Activists say it's a coordinated move to stifle them before the movement's 2-month anniversary. Several camps have now been evicted, including the one where it all started in Zuccotti Park, New York.
In the financial capital of the world, a movement called Occupy Wall Street is born. In 8 short weeks, the fight against U.S. corporate greed and wealth inequality manifests in all 50 states, a dynamic American movement not seen since the 60s. As the power of the people grows louder, police force grows stronger. Peaceful activists beaten by batons, blinded by mace, and thrown to the ground. Unarmed activists pitched tents. Law enforcement launched flash grenades.
These police responses are also theater. They're a theater meant to induce fear and terror, and to basically try to make people who are watching it think that people exercising their democratic rights are somehow violent or criminals. That's a narrative that we've seen consistently over the last few months. And so they go in with this type of excessive force to try and cow people, to try and get them to submit, not just physically, but psychologically.
Thousands of Occupy activists have been jailed throughout the 2-month campaign. The mass arrest of 800 on the Brooklyn Bridge garnered international attention. But this image of an 84-year-old former school teacher pepper sprayed during a demonstration captures the crackdown activists face. Brought to a boiling point by economic injustice and a political system failing the majority, protesters demonstrated unprecedented resilience. And then, U.S. authorities began occupying the occupations, one by one, evicting activists under the pretext of health or safety concerns. A raid on the headquarters in New York came at 1 a.m. Hundreds of armed officers destroying and displacing the heart of this democratic movement.
You can't evict an idea. So the idea that we are the 99% of Americans, that we need to resist the undue influence of financial institutions and corporations, fight for economic justice, those messages are being spread around the country.
Every time that the authorities come in and try to make some type of offensive strike in a cowardly way at 1 a.m. Without any warning, it shows the public support for this, because the numbers in the streets double the next day. People come out.
Out and determined to carry on. What began as an occupation in a park has grown into a national movement fighting for principles. From Wall Street to Times Square, support for the Occupy movement has packed the streets, uniting tens of thousands of strangers bound by common hardship and frustration. 2 months in, there's no denying the grassroots movement has become a brand of the Big Apple and a social marker in America. Marina Portnaya, RT, New York.
Well, radio host Alex Jones believes the apparent health hazards cited for the evictions was a setup from the start and an effort to demonize the very idea of protest in the U.S.
I've discovered in Austin and in Detroit, as well as New York, we've confirmed that when they let homeless people out who've been arrested for being drunk in public or sleeping on the sidewalk, or they release people from prison or homeless shelters or mental institutions, they tell them, go to Austin Occupy, go to New York Occupy. We won't arrest you there. So for the last month, they've been sending all the homeless people and mentally ill people and prisoners there so they can then demonize it and say, look, people are going to the bathroom on the ground, even when there's a porta potty. Fights are breaking out. There's robberies. This idea that protesting and demonstrating is criminal or is scummy or filthy is really un-American and anti-democratic across the world.